Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So here we have it, guys, the Fear and Greed Index. Today we are in extreme fear. We're still at 22 for the entire crypto market. And, this has been a theme really over the last week or so, and coming out of last month. Last month, we did see some neutral momentum. But, if you take a look at this, you can see today we are at 22. Yesterday we were at 20. And last week we were even at 24. But, when you take a look at the charts, the market has just been moving sideways. Right now, Bitcoin's trading at about almost $38,000, $37,967. So just shy of $38,000. And we're continuing to see sideways momentum on the charts for both Bitcoin, for altcoins, XRP, following Bitcoin still, it did break down though below 60 cents. So now you can get an XRP for 59 cents US. I guess for some, maybe this is need for celebration. They can stack up on more XRP. For others, we're seeing our portfolios dwindle and we're like, when moon? Come on, enough is enough already. But guys, I can assure you this is only temporary. This is the calm, or rather the storm, before the rainbows. I saw somebody post that on Twitter. I thought it was kind of funny. So when in doubt, guys, it's good to get some perspective. So Michael at Val5Links brought this to our attention. Let's take stock at what's going on in the rest of the world, in the crypto market, for example, and I won't go into these articles in detail, but it is important to understand where banks' heads are at, where other financial institutions' heads are at. And so, for example, Switzerland's central bank, the Swiss central bank, the Swiss National Bank, says buying and holding Bitcoin as a reserve currency is not a problem for the bank. Now listen to how this is phrased. Switzerland's central bank, the Swiss National Bank, says buying and holding Bitcoin as a reserve currency is not a problem for the bank. Here's a quote: "We can arrange the technical and operative conditions relatively quickly when we are convinced we must have Bitcoin in our balance sheet." Notice they use the term when we are convinced, not if we are convinced, but when we are convinced. This coming from the chairman of the Swiss National Bank. So they are already stating, look, we have an on-ramp, we have an off-ramp to purchase Bitcoin when, not if, when we want to put Bitcoin on our balance sheet. The Swiss National Bank could buy and hold Bitcoin as a reserve currency if the cryptocurrency meets the bank's currency reserve requirements, says Thomas Jordan. He said this on Friday. So in this circumstance, we're looking at a central bank, the Central Bank of Switzerland, them saying we can and will put Bitcoin on our balance sheet if needed. And Navin Gupta from Ripple just posted this today, just earlier this morning. Better late than never, Wall Street reluctantly embraces crypto. Now this coming from the Wall Street Journal, a major mainstream outlet. And Wall Street is realizing, look, we need to play ball to stay relevant. Wall Street has a message for its clients that have been eager to invest in cryptocurrencies. Okay, we hear you, they say. The largest U.S. bank, securities firm, and custodians, many of whom once greeted the emergence of digital assets with skepticism, are now showcasing their forays into the market. It's a moment in time when the traditional industry has woken up and more broadly accepted this to happen, says Walt Lukin, president and chief executive of the Future Industries Association, a large trade group for the derivatives markets. Their recent conversion, industry executive said, has less to do with any epiphany about crypto's utility than it does about a simple reality. They don't want to lose the business to rivals. So, what the market demands, Wall Street will provide. In other words, realizing cryptocurrency adoption is at their doorstep. And so, it's like these companies that may have once refused to jump onto RippleNet. They realize if their competition is going to do it, well, we can't be left out in the cold. So if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. This is Wall Street, guys. Let me remind you, this is not some small piddly market. This is the American financial Wall Street. And this also brought to us by Navin Gupta, coincidentally an employee of Ripple in the MENA region. So I thought that was interesting. Also, Jim Rickards here bringing this up. Russia's cutting their rates, their interest rates, even as the U.S. is raising rates. Now, I'm going to get to Jim Rickards' discussion points on this in a second. First, I wanted to just read a little bit of this article. Russia's central bank lowered their key interest rates to 14% in a sharper than expected move on Friday, and said it saw room for cut rates further this year as it tries to manage a shrinking economy and soaring inflation. The central bank met after it unexpectedly cut the key rate to 17% earlier in April. That had followed an emergency rate increase to 20% from 9.5% days after Russia sent tens of thousands of troops to the Ukraine on February the 24th. 24th, Friday's rate cuts exceeded the expectations for a 200 basis point moves in a Reuters poll, which Governor Elvira Nabiulina said was the other option the bank had considered. And here's a quote. "Today we see room for a key rate reduction before the end of year," Nabiulina told the media conference that was held in person for the first time since early 2020. "We will make our further decisions on monetary policy, considering that the economy needs to adjust to the dramatically changing conditions. Price stability is always the top priority for us, as it is critical for steady economic growth." So Russia too has had to switch gears. Obviously, they do have some leverage in this situation. But back to Jim Rickards' point here, Russia's cutting rates even as the US is raising. So the USD to the ruble is 70.77. That's a much stronger ruble than when the war began. So interesting to note that what the US was trying to do with the sanctions was to actually decimate the ruble's value compared to the US dollar. However, it's not looking like that is happening. The US sanctions are failing badly, continues Rickards. This has to do in part with the gold link. So we're going to get to that point in a second. I doubt there's one person in DC who gets this. So again, we're going to talk about gold in a bit, but just to kind of give you guys some perspective around the world of what is going on, despite what we are seeing in the market, guys, short-term pain. And again, you know, XRP, it's just following Bitcoin, guys, like the rest of the market. So short-term pain for long-term gain. Let me just bring up, what am I going to bring up? I'm going to bring up the total crypto market here for now. Compared to the S&P 500, compared to the NASDAQ, compared to the Dow Jones, crypto is holding up fairly nicely. I know we've been trading sideways for over a year now, but technically we are making higher lows, and that is beneficial for the overall market. That is beneficial, you know, when we look at the health of the cryptocurrency market on top of, you know, all these indications. Wall Street's getting into crypto. Swiss National Bank, for example, getting into cryptocurrency. The Russia thing is not necessarily cryptocurrency related. However, it is also going to play a key factor in what's going on. So BTC Fuel also noticing this. Altcoins are showing a similar setup during the beer flu crash. This Max Payne scenario right now, RSI, is oversold. So we are to expect an explosive recovery in the next weeks. Now, this is his prediction. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this 100%. However, he is showing similarities to what we saw, the setup that we saw before 2020, early 2020, when the beer flu essentially shut down entire economies. We are seeing a similar setup today. Also, the RSI, very, very oversold. So that's the relative strength index. Oversold RSI usually means more demand will come in, and more demand with less supply means the price will go up. Price of altcoins in this particular case. Also, just, you know, another perspective here from Miles J. Creative. And this video today is kind of all over the map. However, I know a lot of people are likely looking at their portfolio and thinking to themselves, what the heck is happening? Did I make a big mistake? So I figured I would focus on cryptocurrency, the broader outlook, some other perspectives in this video, and then I'm going to get into some more stuff later on. But just back to this Miles J. Creative quick update thread from me on where I think we currently are with Bitcoin. The setup looks very nice in my opinion, and all that's required is patience. So what he is saying is patience, patience, patience before we see new highs. So firstly, I think this on-chain metric is key to understanding where Bitcoin supply currently is and how we are becoming nicely primed for a supply squeeze when an influx of demand arrives. So again, oversold right now, we are looking for demand. When we've seen that active supply at a high, we usually see a trend in the upward direction. He goes on to say, looking at the market in stages, I think this is where we are right now. Supply is moving towards that key area previously seen during the 2020 accumulation, and theoretically what should follow once more is a strong uptrend when demand steps in, obviously also showing similar behaviors. So just demonstrating this, the accumulation phase followed by a parabolic supply squeeze. Right now, it's looking like we are in that accumulation phase. So what are we to see next? Hopefully that parabolic supply squeeze. RSI setup is also similar to the 2020 parabolic run. We await the break of the downtrend to perhaps see some fireworks once more. Note the RSI currently is also in a descending wedge pattern. So he's taking a look at this down here, this indicator, the RSI, descending wedge. When that happens, what we see after that is a pump to the upside like we saw back last spring of 2021. We are in that same descending pattern today. So hopefully, what are we going to see? Hopefully, the same trend upward. And for those of you guys who might not know what RSI is, I guess I'm just kind of assuming here, I'm taking liberties, the Relative Strength Index. It's a momentum oscillator that measures the speed and change of price movements. The RSI oscillates between 0 and 100. Traditionally, the RSI is considered overbought when we see it above 70 and oversold when we see it below 30. So we are seeing a very low RSI, and that means oversold. That means lots of people have been selling out of their Bitcoin, their altcoins, their XRP, whatever it is, and so we are now expected to see the pendulum shift to the other side. Overall, I think we are currently in a bottom accumulation range. Sentiment has been very bearish throughout, funding negative, and we have a lot of bulls starting to call for sub $30,000 prices for Bitcoin. Also been noticing Twitter becoming quieter and quieter. So in conclusion, for me personally, he says, this is a great time to accumulate more spot while the crowd is super bearish. With supply the way it is, I think it is just a matter of time before Bitcoin shocks everybody to the upside. And again, this is not financial advice, just Miles J. Creative's opinion on where he sees Bitcoin going next. And guys, we always have to follow Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the leader of the market. Bitcoin is essentially going to dictate where altcoins are going to go next. So Bitcoin poised for a new leg up, which means altcoins ultimately will be poised also for another leg up. Another one brought to us by Michael at Val5Links. Now this is Raoul Pal, and he's giving us his perspective on the entire market and what assets he feels are going to do well. Now pay attention, guys, because this might take a while to play out. Macroeconomic expert Raoul Pal says global markets are locked in a mass liquidation phase, and he doesn't expect a turnaround in the short term. So we're looking at the long-term view here. Here's what he stated. This is an ugly market. What I think is going on here is there are two factors for the market to digest. One is inflation, and that has created the market to set up in certain ways. Everyone's crowded into certain things. Then growth starts evaporating. You can see it all over the place. Like in stuff like consumer discretionary stocks. You can see it in the forward-looking indicators. So the market has to deal with inflation plus slowing growth. And what that basically means is that everyone has hit the liquidate button. So everything's getting liquidated. This is the correlation of one-star markets that I was warning about. And it hits everything from crypto to pretty much everything. And the thing that stands above all ends up being the dollar. So he is making a case for the US greenback, because that is kind of a safe haven. We've seen some huge moves in the dollar, and I'm not sure it's entirely done yet. So there is a massive liquidation going on as people struggle with their portfolios because basically whatever position you've got, it's wrong. And that's the pain everyone's gonna have to take on for a while. So again, guys, remember when I was showing you the S&P 500 and how we were seeing this rebound to the 702 and now we are actually making lower lows? Well, this is just one example of people liquidating out of their assets. The S&P, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ all look very, very similar. Powell predicts that both inflation and growth will move lower simultaneously in the months ahead. If this outlook comes to pass, Powell says growth stocks, gold, and crypto may ultimately stand to benefit. Let me reiterate, Powell says growth stocks, gold, and cryptocurrency may ultimately stand to benefit. And here's what he says about that. If I'm right and that inflation story is going to change and growth is going to go slower, then we start shifting to a dynamic where we question what the central bank's going to be doing. And if bond yields are going to come lower, stuff that's really been beaten up, like the further end of the growth stocks, they should be more interesting in that environment because they got killed by inflation. And so he says, I think gold does pretty well. Interestingly enough, gold and growth stocks tend to do badly as real rates start tightening, but they go to zero and it looks like the world's falling apart just as the central bank is trying to undertake quantitative tightening or at least no QE, quantitative easing. And if that's the case, then real rates are going negative again. And if I'm right, that's usually good for gold, crypto, long end of growth, that kind of stuff, and bad for everything that people have been in like commodity stocks. So a case for gold, crypto over the long term. Of course, just looking at the indicators here, it is no surprise why we would be seeing this. Also gold, that piece on gold, Russia tying the ruble to gold, that Jim Rickards tweet here also mentioning the gold connection with Russia. So things to be paying attention to. Now, to switch gears a little bit, and I know you're feeling dejected. XRP is now under 60 cents. Whatever are you going to do? Chins up, XRP fam, because things are going to get better. We are still seeing utility. We are seeing massive moves from Ripple, XRP, MacDac XRP bringing this to our attention, almost 400 million XRP shifted by major exchanges like FTX, Binance, and other top crypto platforms. So we are still seeing big moves for XRP, large chunks of XRP, 40 million, sorry, it said 400 million here, but he meant 40 million XRP have been transferred from these large exchanges, so we are still seeing, guys, large quantities of XRP moving. That hasn't changed at all. We also had some positive announcements from Brad Garlinghouse in a video I did just yesterday, which I'll link up here in the top right-hand corner. I took some clips from that crypto conference that Brad Garlinghouse did. He sat down, did an interview, was talking a little bit about Ripple, their central bank partnerships, the fact that they are partnering with even more central banks that they have not even announced yet. So that's going to be interesting once we get that information. And I feel like, the FUD has been really up. There was the coin market cap fiasco. And so Panos here on Twitter felt like it was necessary to post this thread. For those of you guys who may have been in the XRP community for a while, you might already know this. However, it might be a good refresher. Why is XRP so hated and why there is so much misinformation? Time for a thread. Everything started back in 2013. XRP had started trading. The technology had many promises. It had the first ever DEX where you could even trade and move Bitcoin in seconds. Then Bitcoin maximalists came in. The one thing I want to mention here, okay? Bitcoin maximalists, guys that have been into Bitcoin since 2013 and maybe even before that. They have got a lot of money, and a lot of money means a lot of influence. So when we see this FUD campaign, it's not just a few keyboard warriors typing up some articles here. They actively pay people to talk smack about Ripple and XRP, and it all started in 2013. Panos continues by saying there's a lot of tribalism and maximalism in the crypto space, and many people treat crypto like a religion. This is mainly seen in Bitcoin, where Bitcoin maximalists believe it is the only one and all other coins are crap coins. BitcoinTalk.org was the most popular crypto forum back then, where XRP creators also posted. As XRP was gaining popularity, and many Bitcoiners liked the vision and idea behind it, which was an efficient network to move value and make transactions, maxis felt threatened. They started spreading disinformation against XRP and the company Ripple, that they were scams and that XRP was centralized. They even started paying other people to say it's a scam and spread FUD. And then he links an example here. This continued for years, not only in forums, but even in popular crypto media, where maxis were now writing FUD articles about XRP and Ripple. This has led to new people entering the crypto space, believing that XRP is a centralized scam, as some of the top searches have even wrong information. So, when you disseminate this information from a long time ago, you know how the Google search algorithm works, right? Some of the oldest articles, the ones that get the most clicks, they are the ones that are going to be likely linked at the top of Google page searches. So, we are seeing this misinformation since it started so long ago, and since nobody really ever corrected it. We are starting to see this enter the mainstream, and people are actually starting to believe it. This is why, guys, the XRP community plays such an important role to combat the FUD, to spread the truth, to do the research, and invest in the cryptocurrency that is going to change lives. Panos goes on by saying maximalists feel threatened by other crypto, especially when they are better and more advanced. So repeating false information is a way to prevent beginners from investing in other crypto other than Bitcoin or whatever each group accepts. That's why doing your own research and understanding how the technology works on a technical level is very important. The XRP network is an open source, decentralized, and very efficient technology used for many use cases such as payments, web monetization, DeFi, gaming, NFTs, and the list is continuing to grow daily. You can also link to Panos' blog down here, guys. I will link this tweet thread in the description if you guys are interested. Panos got some great information. Wanted to thank him for posting that thread. There's also been a lot of misinformation about the escrow, which I'm not going to get into. This was an older blog post on Ripple's Insights blog from David Schwartz all the way back from 2017, just explaining how the escrow works. So I will also link this in the description if you guys are maybe new to the space or maybe you just want to get a refresher on that. This brought to us by Brad Garlinghouse here on Twitter. So is it time to buy more or is it time to sell? Well, you know what they always say, do the opposite of what the masses are doing. XRP King Dogo the fourth here posting this. Look, now it's time to worry if we're in a bear market for XRP or not.
I go to the moon like XRPE. We go to the moon.
Okay. Thought I'd have a little fun today considering it is Sunday. And on the continued theme of fun today, Sunday Fun Day, Michael Arrington posting this, presented without comment. What the heck is going on here? Apparently, it was an event some kind of soccer team event where I was thinking it was around St. Patrick's Day, but it looks like it's some kind of soccer themed event here. I still don't know what this really is, but clearly we've got Brad Garlinghouse dressed up as a leprechaun, and also Charles Hoskinson here from Cardano. Looks like they're on some kind of team. If anybody knows what this is from, please do put it down in the comment section. And I think I'm going to leave Sunday's video at that. Leave it on a bit of a positive note. Even though the market is depressed, guys, taking a look at this photo here of Brad Garlinghouse dressed as a leprechaun should in fact cheer you up. At least that's my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.